You are listening to Aftersight. This recording is intended solely for individuals who are blind or have low vision.
Thank you for joining us for The Rooster. My name is Dawn, and this is being recorded on June 12th, 2024. Today, I will read some random articles in the June edition, print edition of The Rooster. The content I am about to read is a direct excerpt from the source material and does not represent my personal views or those of Aftersight. And please be aware, there is an occasional swear word in this material. We'll get started with Absurdist News. The first article in Absurdist News is Colorado is full of shitty drivers. The photo accompanying the article is of a nighttime photograph of a bunch of cars caught in a traffic jam in what looks like New York City. Yet another study reveals what we've known for years. Colorado drivers are some of the worst in the country. Another study has confirmed what our Southern fried grandpappy has been saying for the last 15 years. Ain't a single soul in this dadgum state know how to drive good. A study from Munley Law ranks states based on metrics such as fatalities, DUI arrests, speeding, and seatbelt use, with Colorado ranking 13th. You may be thinking that 13th out of 50 states isn't that bad, but it's still rough enough for us to scream at the top of our lungs while hyperventilating and white-knuckling our steering wheel as we try to merge onto I-25. Are we saying that every Colorado citizen should be banned from roadways? Absolutely not. Do more stringent measures need to be put into place to create safer driving infrastructure? Maybe, but that's not for us to decide. What we're trying to say is this. If you or a loved one own an automobile, have ever made a mistake while piloting a vehicle, or have utilized your car on a public roadway that's funded with your own tax dollars, we think you're terrible people. Just the worst. Also in Absurdist News, Colorado, Polis signs bill protecting people's private brainwaves. Last month, Colorado Governor Jared Polis signed a bill that would protect people's privacy when it comes to brainwaves, causing us to breathe a sigh of relief knowing that nobody will be able to hack into the effed up search history that we regard as our own thoughts and thought processes. The law basically changed the Colorado Privacy Act to include neural data, or data that's found in your brain. Now your dome data is in the same category as your fingerprints and facial recognition software. This change makes Colorado the first state to create contingencies for protecting neural data, though many other countries and states are working to amend their constitutions to prevent the dystopian future where your average Joe could purchase our weekly night terrors via the App Store. Colorado. Getting illegal drugs in America is as easy as using Uber Eats, DEA says to Congress. The head of the DEA recently testified that getting illegal drugs in America was as easy as using Uber Eats, once again confirming our suspicions that between streaming services, pizza, and drug deliveries, we never need to leave our house again. DEA Administrator Ann Milgram expressed to Congress last month that advances in modern-day technology have made it easier than ever to acquire illicit substances. Indeed, what was a very grim statement from the DEA was the best news we heard all year. And we'll be honest with you, we spent the entire afternoon trying to DoorDash ketamine to our office. Unfortunately, we're going to call bullshit on this one. If getting crack cocaine was really as easy as the DEA says it is, well, we would have gotten this article to our editor on time. Nation. Catholic organization defrocks AI priest after it okays Gatorade baptisms. A Catholic advocacy group recently defrocked an artificial intelligence, AI priest, it called Father Justin, after the AI gave some unsettling answers. Not to get off topic immediately, but did you know that defrocking means to deprive a holy person of their ecclesiastical status? Because after spring break in Myrtle Beach in 2018, we thought that it meant something else. The AI at one point condemned masturbation as a grave moral disorder. And honestly, it's just nice to see that our robot overlords and our religious overlords agree on something for once. Best of all, prior to getting defrocked, the AI went on to tell a user that it was okay to baptize a baby in Gatorade. We don't see what the big deal is. NFL coaches and players have spent the last 40 years getting baptized in Gatorade, and we've never seen those guys sin or disappoint God a day in their lives. The next article is under the heading Illuminati Today. The image at the top of this one is of a beer glass coming out of a pot with two handles on each side, one on each side, surrounded by floating mushrooms in a psychedelic-looking image. The article is titled, The Great Mushroom Beer Ban. Yes, once upon a time, beer was a magic beverage imbued with psychedelic properties. This is until the purity law was enacted by Juan Wilder. Beer has been a staple of human civilization since its very first brew. It's an ancient beverage because, in its crudest form, it's simple enough to make accidentally. That's probably how it happened over 6,000 years ago. Some lucky Sumerian left some grain outside in a clay pot, forgot about it, it rained, and when they found it weeks later, they had beer. They tasted it, didn't die, and got the first beer buzz. The recipe evolved from there. More ingredients were added until eventually, in many parts of Europe, psilocybin mushrooms found their way into the brew. Yes, once upon a time, beer was a magic beverage imbued with psychedelic properties. Mushrooms remained a common ingredient in beer for many centuries. That was until the Holy Roman Empire banned them and all other psychedelic substances from being included in beer. Why am I telling you any of this in Rooster's esteemed and acclaimed conspiracy column? Well, sit back and crack a cold one, dear reader, and prepare yourself for the strange and unfortunate saga behind Germany's celebrated, though now defunct, purity law of 1514, aka Reinheitsgebot, or, as I've dubbed it, the Catholic magic beer ban. Because it isn't just coincidence that those mind-altering, spiritual experience-inducing, trippy fungi were banned from beer by the church. It was just another sneaky attempt to control people's spirituality and consciousness. The motivations behind Reinheitsgebot aren't dissimilar to our own government's prohibition of psychedelics. In fact, they're exactly the same. WTF is a Reinheitsgebot. Germany's Beer Purity Act was billed as a way to regulate beer quality and consistency, to prevent price competition, and of course, to make beer safer to drink. Until this law, people were commonly adding mushrooms and other psychoactive pagan plants like gruit, henbane, belladonna, and wormwood. This new law made it illegal to use any ingredients except barley, hops, and water. Many people call Reinheitsgebot the first food safety law in history. It was a policy pushed by William IV, the Duke of Bavaria, a not-so-fondly remembered tool of the religious establishment. He was big on suppressing free thought. The Protestant Reformation was occurring at this time, which was a massive revolution in freedom of religion that greatly threatened the power of the Church. Old Will of Bavaria became famous for banning any Protestant teachings or practices in his fiefdom. So, was Reinheitsgebot really about keeping people safe, or was this yet another attempt on behalf of William IV to suppress free thought and freedom of religion at the Holy Roman Empire's behest? Old prohibition, modern motivations. Call it a coincidence, but the justification for our government's Controlled Substances Act is very similar to that of Reinheitsgebot. In order to prohibit substances like cannabis, psilocybin, mescaline, DMT, PCP, LSD, and more, our government paints them as dangerous to society and unsafe for consumption. This is for your own good, the authorities always assure us. It's for public safety. Maybe that's true on some level, but the powers that be regularly demonstrate that they aren't that concerned about our safety. They don't care all that much how many people or who owns assault rifles. Base jumping, bull riding, and motorcycle racing are all legal. Hell, it's perfectly within your right to eat poisonous plants and send yourself to the hospital. But psychedelics that have been safely used for thousands of years, the people can't handle those, apparently. Or perhaps more accurately, the power of authority can't handle us having full access to them. What happened to Reichsgebot? In 1987, the German purity law was abolished, but the damage was already done. Psychedelic mushrooms and other such ingredients would never again find their way into beer. Even modern brewers won't venture into that realm. The lasting effect of the German purity law will likely never fade away. That is, unless some devil-may-care, authority-spiting, rule-breaking brewer takes matters into their own hands. In a place like Colorado, it wouldn't be illegal to revive the lost tradition of magic beer. It would just have to be done underground, lest the feds, like the church, sweep in to try to stop you. Next up are the hookup horoscopes. Aquarius, January 21st through February 18th. This month, it's all about shaking things up in your love life, leading you down unrealistic paths. Embrace the fake news and let your freak flag fly. You might be surprised at the sociopathic connections you make when you let your gullible side shine through. Pisces, February 19th through March 20th. This month is making you crave a love story straight out of a fairy tale, just not the good kind. Disastrous dates, heartless conversations, and deep emotional chaos are your jam this month. But remember, even the most catastrophic romances require a healthy dose of surreality. Aries, March 21st through April 19th. Mars, your ruling planet, is lighting a firecracker under your sex life this month. Expect spontaneous sparks, steamy encounters, and maybe even a few late-night WYD texts. Just remember, hot doesn't always equal health, so make sure that spark isn't something you need a prescription to get rid of because ew. Taurus, April 20th through May 20th. Indulgence is your middle name. Think gourmet meals, deep tissue massages, with or without the happy ending. Let your desire for comfort and luxury guide you to connections that feel like a warm hug. Bonus points if they can also hold an intelligent conversation and appreciate your love of cheap wine. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. It's your season, so let your flirtatious freak flag fly. Your wit and charm are turned up to 11, making you a verbal foreplay ninja. Expect witty banter, playful teasing, and maybe even a handwritten let's fuck. But remember, talk is cheap. Just make sure you aren't. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. The universe drops a glitter bomb on your sex life, making you crave connections that touch your soul as much as your erogenous zones. Dive deep and let your emotions guide you to passionate encounters and heart-to-heart conversations. Just remember to bring a life preserver. Too much emotional depth can sometimes feel like drowning. Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. The spotlight shines brightly on you now because, of course it does. Expect rabid admirers, exciting, psychotic dates, and plenty of opportunities to roar with false confidence. Don't be fooled by empty compliments or empty heads, including your own. Quality, not quantity. Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd. Your discerning eye is on the hunt for a partner who meets your impossibly high standards. While Mercury sharpens your mind, don't let your checklist become a barrier to connection. The most fulfilling encounters are the ones that defy all expectations. Remember, perfectionism kills the vibe, so stop being a punk-ass bitch. Libra, September 23rd through October 22nd. This month, you're lousy with charm and charisma, making you irresistible to the worst partners. Don't get so caught up in fleeing from disaster that you forget to get laid every once in a while. Sometimes the greatest adventures are the ones that encourage you to touch yourself inappropriately. Scorpio, October 23rd through November 21st. Pluto's intensity is fueling your desire for passionate, transformative encounters, not to mention your side hustle as a serial killer. The right person will appreciate your depth and intensity, and together you can explore the depths of desire, intimacy, and bloodlust. Sagittarius, November 22nd through December 21st. Adventure awaits. Jupiter's expansive energy is making you lust for new experiences and exciting, if not exactly legal, connections. Don't be afraid to let your wanderlust guide you towards a passionate fling or a whirlwind romance, or even a self-pleasuring episode or 6. And Capricorn, December 21st through January 20th. Your ambition extends to the bedroom. You're seeking a partner who can match your drive and determination, someone who understands the meaning of power couple. But don't forget to have some unnatural fun with natural foods. You know you love to get your salad tossed. At the bottom of the Hookups horoscopes page, there is a poll. It says, stroke in the poll. Do you like dirty talk? Yes, 66%, and no at 34%. And 26 is the number of states where impotence is grounds for divorce. Our next column is the blind date column, Sips with a Z at Meow Wolf. Yarning for love. Scott and Rue get their knit together at Sips with a Z inside Meow Wolf. Round 1. We arrive at Sips with a Z inside of Meow Wolf Denver, eager for our daters to learn the ancient art of yarn crafting with trash, courtesy of this month's Meow Wolf Makers event. Rue is dressed to the nines in her favorite floral print, while Scott arrives looking like a Wish.com version of Sylvester Stallone. After a brief introduction, the pair heads upstairs to begin their yarn-filled date. How's it going so far? Scott answers, great, I'm having fun. I'm enjoying the crafting and enjoying my day. It sounds like such a churchy answer. Rue answers, things are going really well. He is a really thoughtful person. He says something, but he prefaces it by his actions, and I really like that because he can have conversations about deep things in unique and casual ways. What were your first impressions of your date? Scott answers, as expected, she's very outgoing. It took a lot of the pressure off that she's here. She's about it. We're doing this. Rue answers, he has a really great head of hair and a really deep smile. He seemed just as not sure what to do with his hands as I did. What was the first thing you noticed about your date? Scott answers, her smile. It made me want to smile. She seemed happy to be here. And Rue answers, his body language is interesting. When he's talking about something and when he hits the crescendo of what he's saying, he has these interesting expressions. Is this the type of person you'd normally date? Scott, no. I've been on Tinder dates, but you can usually figure out within a couple of seconds whether or not it's going to be something. Rue answers, I am interested in people who have characteristics that he has, yes. What are you most nervous about for tonight? Scott answers, I wanted to make a good impression. I feel less nervous now. Rue answers, if he wasn't interested in talking or answering questions or getting to know me. Did you get any advice for this date? Scott answers, my friend Justin told me that I needed to look my date directly in the eye and be honest about my feelings. And Rue answers, my colleague told me to wear something comfortable. Don't try a new outfit in the blind date. How did you prepare for the date? Scott answers, I took off work, so I ate a lot of food and rode my bike. Rue answers, Venus is in Taurus, so I decided to go for the ultra-relaxed and comfortable, but also smoldering and vivacious look. How did your date dress tonight? Scott answers, she dressed in a body-length dress that is a collage of roses. It complements her well. Rue answers, my date dressed like someone who is the best representation of his lifestyle. He rides bikes, he is into welding, and a lot of very physical activity as his passion. What are you looking forward to in the next round? Scott answers, finding out more about her. Rue answers, seeing what he makes out of the crafts. That's where he's coming alive. Meet the daters. There is an image of Scott. He has brown hair, a brown beard, and he is wearing a white-ish t-shirt that appears to have some writing on the front. Scott, plumber. He's a Libra. Why are you going on a rooster blind date? I was curious about the experience. What's a good way to win you over? Listening to me. Most irrational fear. Leaf blowers. I can't stand them. The noise, the smell. What were they thinking when they made them? What's your greatest strength? I really value friendship and I really try to be a good friend. Never have I ever been to Meow Wolf. Do you want kids? Yes. My parents had kids so they could have little workers. I want my own little army. What do you geek out on? Coloring. Immediate red flags if they listen to Bjork or Cats. Immediate green flags if they make the first move. One thing you can't live without, my ability to ride my single speed bike. Why did your last relationship end? What do you say when you want something to go somewhere, but the other person isn't into you? Celebrity crush, Kristen Stewart. Guilty pleasure. I like coloring. I used to love the shit out of kombucha. And Rue is an African American. She is wearing that what appears to be a dress covered in roses. She has long, curly hair. She is a publicist and a Gemini sun. Why are you going on a rooster blind date? Because I am interested in new experiences with new people, and I'm interested in reclaiming some part of me that has been lost to the unknown. What's a good way to win you over? Laughter, sweetness, and affection. Most irrational fear. Eggs. Any egg. I once broke up with a guy after seeing how he ate eggs. What's your greatest strength? Communication. Never have I ever eaten an egg. Do you want kids? No. I have 1 million nieces and nephews that I love. What do you geek out on? Astrology. Immediate red flags. If they were rude or if they have bad manners. Immediate green flags. Smiles, warmth, charisma. One thing you can't live without. Burt's Bees chapstick. Why did your last relationship end? I'm perpetually in love all the time, and my love evolved. Celebrity crush. Idris Elba. I also think that Damian Lillard is very hot. Guilty pleasure, smoking weed and watching Anderson Cooper. Round 2 of the blind date. So far, so good. The duo seems to be enjoying crafting, especially since it's giving them something to do with their hands. Rue takes the initiative by spearheading the date, which is one of Scott's green flags. We send them off to continue working on their art projects before checking in again. How's Meow Wolf makers at Sips with a Z? Scott says, it's been fun. There are no rules with the crafting, and I like that. Rue answers, it's going very well. I'm enjoying expressing myself through the colors that I'm choosing for my yarn art. I feel like I'm terrible at craft in general, but it's funny because it's a thing that's conversational. The way that we are pulling the string and tying things and choosing textures, it's a really fun thing to do on a blind date because it entices conversation and the flow of the moment. How's the date going? Scott answers, it's going well. At least it seems like it's going well. There's no pressure, and I'm glad I came out. I'm enjoying my time. Churchy answers. Rue answers, the date is going well. We talked about music, and when I asked him about music, that's when he came alive. Do you two have anything in common? Scott answers, yes. We were just talking about how we both listen to the news. Rue answers, so many things in common. I talked about how I like to smoke weed and watch Anderson Cooper, and he mentioned he likes to smoke weed and listen to talk radio. I mentioned that I like his smile, and he said he likes my smile. What do you like about your date? Scott answers, it's nothing against my date. It just seems so forced and expeditious and rapid, and the colors and yarns are distracting. There is so much yarn here. Rue answers, I love the way that he is so authentic and genuine and endearing. What's the most attractive thing about your date? Scott answers, she brought me some water. That was pretty cool. I was like, man, I didn't even get her water. I'm a little nervous by that, but I accepted it without even asking about that. Rue mentioned, I mentioned that I wanted to incorporate black yarn into my craft, and he got up and got the black spool of yarn with ease. I mentioned that I'm kind of bad at craft, and he said there's a freedom to this art thing, and I thought that was encouraging and sweet. How would your parents feel about the dater? Scott says, my parents are the type of people who just want to welcome anybody in. And Rue answers, they would think that he is the boy next door and capable. What's been the best part of the date so far? Scott answers, the walkthrough at Meow Wolf was really cool. I would like to come back and walk through and see it for real. Rue answers, talking about music. What could make the date better? Scott answers, If it were in Boulder, I saw you at the Twisted Pine a couple of months ago. Rue answers, maybe if we were on a walk or something outside. He's kind of an outdoors man, and I can be into outdoor activities. So somewhere where we're doing different things. Walking through the Meow Wolf exhibit would be fun. How's the chemistry on a scale of 1 to 10? Scott answers an 8. Rue answers a 6. And that's okay. Where would you like the night to go from here? Scott answers, what time is it? I got plenty of time to sit and smoke and think about my date, the day, and what I'll be doing tomorrow. Rue answers, I would love to end the night by making a plan to talk about what news we watched when we unwound from our days tomorrow. I'd love to hear about what he watched and when he went home and smoked a joint. I have an early day tomorrow, so the only person I want to see later is Anderson Cooper from my bed. The article is framed with some photographs. The top one is of a drink. It looks to be a whiskey drink with a ice cube in it. It says, the new Manita with toasted sesame oil offers a perfect conversation accelerator while crafting. The next photo is of Scott and Rue knitting. They're laughing. And the last photo is of a stack of skeins of yarn on a table with some illuminated lights behind it. And we'll pick up on round 3 of Blind Date on next week's edition of The Rooster. Thank you for joining us for The Rooster. My name is Dawn.
If you enjoyed this program, please register for our free services at www.aftersight.org or by calling 303-786-7777.